Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. I'm going to talk to you about the disqualification within the Republican Party. I'll get to that in just a second. Welcome to this episode everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda. This is some information about me. Welcome to our channel. Please, if you learn something new, please click the like button. Please subscribe and please enable notifications. Let's get to the key news alerts for the day. Let's start with this rather unusual incident. A creaking sound. Yes, a creaking sound as the White House press secretary was addressing reporters in the White House briefing room, and she talks about Lincoln's ghost. Yes, folks, I can't make up any of this stuff even if I wanted to. Think of this as an episode of the DC Comedy Hour. So let's get into the episode of the DC Comedy Hour. A loud creaking sound that seemed to startle the White House press secretary, and this just happened. Let's roll the tape and check it out.
Make clear what the benefit. Have no fear. The ceiling is not falling that I'm aware of. Okay. Okay. I trust you. Hopefully, it's an old building. Maybe Lincoln's ghost. That's quite something. Maybe it is.
Yeah, that was unusual. Speaking of the DC Comedy Hour, here's a very interesting comment from the governor of Maryland, the Republican governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, who talked about his own party, and he said this: Republicans will not win future elections if they continue down the crazy road of conspiracy theories. Yep, you heard it directly from a Republican governor here on Ignition Time. Let's roll the tape and check it out.
Look, we're not going to win elections in the future. We're not going to be a majority party. We're not going to win back the House or the Senate or the White House if we continue to go down this crazy road of conspiracy theories and lies. I mean, we've got to get back to reality.
In the meantime, the Democrats are busy doing what they do best, which is pushing for an ambitious infrastructure plan. Here's a quote from Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat from Massachusetts. She said, President Biden ran on a progressive agenda. I see the president as meeting what America needs right now. So on the one hand, you have the Democrats pressuring the president to do more, and the Republicans are staying busy with their own ideologies. Let's roll the tape and hear from Senator Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat from Massachusetts.
He ran on a progressive agenda. He talked about things like Build Back Better and saying that the rich have to pay a fair share on their taxes. And now he is meeting that moment. He was out there with a big rescue package that was exactly what America needed. Now he's coming forward with a big infrastructure package that is exactly what America needs. So I see the president as meeting what America needs now. He is truly serving this country.
In the meantime, there's a catastrophic problem in India. So what is happening in India is truly horrific. In fact, let's show you this article on your screen that was just published by the New York Times. And as we scroll down this article, you'll see the horrific state of affairs in India. Basically, this pandemic is completely out of control in India, and it has created a catastrophe, and it has created a situation that essentially the Indian government simply cannot keep up with. Fortunately, different parts of the world are stepping up to help India, including the United States. And in case you're wondering, what does this have to do with us in the United States? It actually has a lot to do with us. Let's hear from the CEO of Pfizer. And the CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, said this: setting aside the moral issues, meaning, it's the right thing to do to help someone who needs help. He said, setting aside the moral issues, if we are not able to provide solutions for India, for Africa, they will become the pool where the virus will replicate and will generate variants. And these variants could make their way to the US and to Europe. This is the real danger of not helping other countries in a time of crisis. Let's roll the tape and hear from the Pfizer CEO, Albert Bourla.
In a pandemic, you are as protected as your neighbor. So setting aside the moral issues, if we will not be able to provide solutions for India, if we will not be able to provide solutions for Africa, they will become the pool where the virus will replicate and will generate variants. So this is something that needs to be addressed.
And shifting gears back to the Republican Party for a second, a very colorful Republican Senator John Kennedy, the Republican from Louisiana, said this: in our post-journalism world, I'm not sure what he means by post-journalism world, many members of the media have a narrative and they only want to cherry pick and pick instances which show cops at their worst. I guess what he's trying to say is there is no more reliable journalism. Whether you choose to believe that or not is entirely up to you. Let's roll the tape and hear from the rather colorful Republican senator from Louisiana, Senator John Kennedy. Let's watch.
Our post-journalism world, many members of the media have a narrative, and they only want to cherry pick and pick instances which show cops at their worst. I've said it before. If you hate cops just because they're cops, then feel free to call a criminal, call a meth head the next time you get in trouble. I just do not accept, nor do I think most Americans accept, that most cops are bad people, are racist.
And shifting gears from politicians to medical experts, here's an interesting comment from the Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, and he said, and he was responding to the new mask guidance from the CDC, which basically says that if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear the mask outdoors as much as other individuals will need to. And he said this: you're vaccinated, guess what? You get to return to a more normal lifestyle. If you're not vaccinated, you're still a danger. You're still in danger as well. Let's roll the tape and hear from the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, Javier Becerra. Let's watch.
The message is clear. You're vaccinated. Guess what? You get to return to a more normal lifestyle. If you're not vaccinated, you're still a danger. You're still in danger as well. So get vaccinated.
And also, I want our viewers and subscribers to know, in a brand new development, the CEO of Pfizer said that Pfizer has a new at-home pill to treat the pandemic by the end of the year, according to the CEO Albert Bourla. Pfizer has an experimental oral drug to treat the pandemic that should be available for at-home use by the end of the year. Now, it's intended to treat the pandemic at the first signs of illness. So I want our viewers and subscribers to understand that this drug is part of a class of medicines called protease inhibitors and works by inhibiting an enzyme. In other words, it stops the production of an enzyme that the virus needs to replicate in human cells. And so keep in mind that similar technology is used in the treatment of HIV and hepatitis C. So this should be very encouraging for those who don't want to get an injection, who don't want to get jabbed. Now, folks, let's get back to some of the chaos that's actually emerging within the Republican Party. On your screen, you'll see a headline from CNN. Liz Cheney, the powerful Republican congresswoman from Wyoming, who, by the way, is not best friends with former President Trump. So you have former President Trump right here, and you have the Wyoming congresswoman, the powerful Republican congresswoman, Liz Cheney. I can tell you they are not best friends. This is what Liz Cheney said. She thinks January 6th should be disqualifying for some members of the Republican Party. In other words, she's saying if anybody played a role directly or indirectly with the 6th of January, they should be disqualified or should disqualify themselves from the Republican Party. Here's a direct quote from Congresswoman Cheney. I think we have a huge number of interesting candidates, but I think that we're going to be in a good position to be able to take the White House. I do think that some of our candidates who led the charge, particularly the senators who led the unconstitutional charge not to certify the election, in my view, that's disqualifying. She's referring to the one and only Senator Ted Cruz, the Republican from Texas, and the highly ambitious senator from Missouri, Josh Hawley. So basically what Liz Cheney is saying is that Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, you should be disqualified from the Republican Party and from future elections. In fact, Cheney said this: I think that the adherence to the Constitution, adherence to your oath has got to be at the top of the list. So I think that certainly will be a factor that I'm looking at, and I think a number of voters will look at as they decide about 2024. Basically what she's saying is it's going to be goodbye to Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley because the voters are not going to accept what happened on the 6th of January. Let me know whether you agree or disagree in the comment section below. I actually want to hear what our community thinks. I'll be looking at the comment section very, very closely about this particular subject. And finally, a new poll from Axios. You'll see that article on your screen right now. 50% of Republicans support the Republican Party over former President Trump. In fact, the Axios report was based on this NBC News article that you see on your screen. After 100 days out of office, Trump's support softens in NBC News poll, and this essentially is an indication that people are starting to think more about the Republican Party and less about former President Trump. Let's take a look at another very interesting presidential approval ratings poll at 100 days into the first term. This is also from NBC News. Let's take a look at this image on your screen. You'll see that President President Biden's approval ratings are 53% approval rating at 100 days into the administration. And for former President Trump, that number was at 40%. For former President Barack Obama, that number was at 61%. And for George W. Bush, that number was at 57%. Very interesting numbers right here on your screen. So folks, let me know what you think about this evolution in the Republican Party as this pandemic rages across the world, and as the two sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, continue to have diverging priorities about the future of our country. Thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.